The alarm bell rang through the bridge of the Earth defense ship Frontier. Captain Jake Morrison sat up in his command chair and looked at the main screen. Stars filled the darkness of space around them. But something was wrong. His communications. Officer Lieutenant Amy Chen turned to face him with worry in her eyes. "Captain, we're getting a signal from deep space. It's coming from Krillian territory," she said. Her voice was quiet, almost scared. Jake felt his stomach drop. No human ships were supposed to be in Krillian space. The big alien empire controlled most of the galaxy, and they had made it clear that humans were not welcome in their systems. Any ship that crossed into their territory never came back. "Put it through," Jake ordered. The bridge went silent as static filled the air. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was weak and broken, but Jake recognized it right away. His heart started beating faster. "Jake, are you there? This is Lisa Rodriguez." Jake gripped the arms of his chair. Commander Lisa Rodriguez had been his friend for 10 years. She had left Earth 6 months ago on a peace mission to talk with the Krillian Empire. Her ship had vanished without a trace and everyone thought she was dead. "Lisa? Lisa, where are you?" Jake spoke into his communication device. The voice that came back sounded strange. It was Lisa's voice, but something was wrong with it. She spoke like a machine with no feeling in her words. "Jake, listen to me carefully. They want us alive, all of us, every human in the galaxy, but they're killing us to keep us alive. Do you understand? They kill us to keep us alive." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew stared back at him with confused faces. None of this made any sense. "Lisa, what do you mean? Who is killing you? Where are you?" But the signal was already breaking up. Static filled the speakers again, and then silence. "Try to get her back," Jake ordered. Amy worked at her controls for several minutes, but the signal was gone. "I'm sorry, Captain. Whatever was sending that signal, it's not there anymore." Jake stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked out at the stars and tried to understand what Lisa had meant. How could someone kill you to keep you alive? It didn't make sense. "Dr. Murphy, I need you to analyze that transmission. Find out everything you can about it," Jake said to his science officer. Dr. Alan Murphy was a thin man with gray hair who had been studying aliens for 20 years. He nodded and began working at his station. After an hour, he called Jake over. "Captain, you need to see this." The transmission had more than just Lisa's voice in it. There were biological patterns mixed in with the signal. DNA patterns. Jake looked at the screen where Dr. Murphy was showing him charts and numbers. "What kind of DNA?" "Human DNA. But it's been changed somehow. Mixed with alien genetic material that I've never seen before. It's like someone took human DNA and combined it with something else." A cold feeling went through Jake's body. "Are you saying they did something to Lisa? Changed her somehow?" "I don't know, Captain, but this DNA pattern shouldn't exist. It's impossible with our current technology." Jake ordered his ship to return to Earth immediately. During the 3-day journey home, he couldn't stop thinking about Lisa's words. What did it mean to kill someone to keep them alive? When they reached Earth, Jake went straight to military headquarters. Admiral Kate Johnson was waiting for him in a secure briefing room. She was a strong woman in her 50s who had been fighting aliens for most of her life. "Sit down, Jake, we need to talk," she said. Jake sat across from her at a metal table. The room had no windows and the walls were covered with maps of the galaxy. "What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level. For the past year, we've been tracking Krillian movements near human colonies. They've been taking people." "Taking people? You mean kidnapping them?" "Yes, but not the way you might think. Other alien species in the Krillian Empire are used as workers. Some mine metals, others build their cities, and some serve in their armies. But humans are different." Admiral Johnson turned on a screen that showed pictures of destroyed human settlements. "When the Krillians attack a human colony, they don't kill everyone. They take some people alive and transport them to unknown locations. But here's the strange part. They're very careful about who they take. They only want healthy adults between the ages of 25 and 45. Jake felt sick. How many people are we talking about? Over the past 5 years, approximately, 50,000 humans have disappeared from outer colonies. We thought they were all dead until we started intercepting Krillian communications. The Admiral pressed a button, and alien voices filled the room. Jake couldn't understand the language, but Dr. Murphy had provided a translation on the screen. The harvest continues as planned. The resurrection protocol shows promising results. Human subjects provide the required creative output even after termination. Jake read the words twice before they sank in. Termination? They're killing the people they take? That's what we thought at first, but look at this next message. Another alien voice played, with more text appearing on the screen. Production levels exceed expectations. Dead human consciousness units solve complex problems that have puzzled our scientists for decades. The paradox is perfect. They must die to truly serve. Jake stood up quickly. This is insane. What are they talking about? Admiral Johnson looked tired. We don't know. But we think your friend Lisa Rodriguez might have discovered the answer. Her diplomatic mission was actually a cover. She was trying to infiltrate Krillian research facilities to learn what they're doing with captured humans. And now she's trapped there, probably going through the same thing as the others. We think so. But Jake, there's something else. Our intelligence suggests that this isn't just about the humans they've already taken. The Krillians are planning something much bigger. The Admiral showed him a star map with red marks covering dozens of human colonies. We believe they're preparing for a massive operation, something they call the final harvest. If we're right, they're planning to capture every human in the galaxy. Jake stared at the map. Earth itself was marked in red. I want to go after Lisa, Jake said, and I want to find out what they're doing to our people. I was hoping you'd say that. We're putting together a covert team to infiltrate one of their research facilities. It's extremely dangerous. The Krillians have technology we don't understand, and no human has ever escaped from one of their facilities. I don't care about the danger. Lisa is my friend, and she'd do the same for me. Admiral Johnson smiled for the first time during their eating. I'll give you the best team we have, but Jake, you need to understand something. This mission isn't just about rescuing Lisa or the other captured humans. If the Krillians are really planning to harvest all of humanity, this might be our only chance to learn how to stop them. Jake nodded. He thought about Lisa's strange message. Again, they kill us to keep us alive. Soon he would find out what those words really meant. 2 weeks later, Jake Morrison stood in the cargo bay of his ship with 3 other people. They all wore black spacesuits designed to hide them from Krillian sensors. Lieutenant Amy Chen checked her pilot gear one more time. Sergeant Ben Parker loaded explosives into his pack. Dr. Helen White carried medical equipment and scanning devices. Remember, we go in quiet, Jake told his team. Our job is to find Lisa Rodriguez and figure out what the Krillians are doing with captured humans. If we can rescue others, we do it. But our main goal is information. The ship shook slightly as they approached the Krillian research station. It was built around a dead star, using the star's energy to power whatever experiments they were doing inside. The station was huge, bigger than any human city, with metal corridors that stretched for miles. Amy piloted their small shuttle through an opening in the station's lower section. Security was lighter here because the Krillians didn't expect anyone to be brave enough or stupid enough to attack them in their own territory. They landed inside a dark hangar filled with alien ships. The air was breathable, but it smelled wrong, like chemicals and something else Jake couldn't identify. They moved through empty corridors following maps that Dr. Murphy had created from intercepted Krillian communications. The research levels should be 2 floors down, Dr. White whispered into her communication device. They found an elevator and rode it deeper into the station. When the doors opened, Jake saw something that made his blood turn cold. Through a large window, he could see into a massive room filled with hundreds of glass tanks. Each tank contained a human being floating in green liquid. My God, Amy whispered. Jake pressed his face against the window. The humans in the tanks looked peaceful, like they were sleeping, but something was wrong with some of them. They had extra arms or legs that weren't human. Some had metal devices attached to their heads. Others had organs that glowed with strange light. Dr. White pulled out her scanner and pointed it at the tanks. Her face went pale as she read the results. Jake, these people are dead. All of them. But their bodies are still functioning. The machines are keeping them alive, but there's no brain activity that shows consciousness. What do you mean they're dead but alive? Their hearts are beating and their lungs are breathing, but according to my scans, their minds are gone. It's like someone took their souls but left their bodies running. Ben pointed to another section of the room. Look over there. Jake turned and saw humans working at computer stations and laboratory equipment. They moved like robots, doing their jobs with perfect precision but no emotion on their faces. Their eyes were empty, staring at nothing. Those are the missing colonists, Amy said. But they're not really alive either, are they? Dr. White scanned them through the window. Same readings. Dead but functioning. Whatever the Krillians are doing, they're using human bodies without human minds. They moved deeper into the facility, searching for Lisa Rodriguez. Jake tried not to think about what they had seen. How could someone be dead but still working? What had the Krillians discovered that let them use human bodies this way? They found Lisa in a special room separated from the others. She was connected to more machines than the rest, and her tank glowed with blue light instead of green. Unlike the others, her eyes were open and moving. When she saw Jake through the glass, she tried to speak. Jake found controls next to her tank and pressed buttons until he could hear her voice. Jake, you shouldn't have come here, Lisa said. Her voice was weak, but she sounded like herself, not like the robot voice from the transmission. We're getting you out of here, Jake said. He looked for a way to open the tank. No, wait. Listen. To me first, I know what they're doing. I know why they want humans alive but kill us anyway. Jake stopped and listened. The Krillians discovered something about human brains. We can solve problems and create new ideas in ways that other species can't. But they also learned that they can only access this ability when we die. I don't understand. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. When a human dies, our brain creates special patterns in the last few seconds. The Krillians have machines that can capture these patterns and store them. Then they can use our creativity and problem-solving skills while keeping our bodies alive. To do work. Dr. White pressed her scanner against Lisa's tank. But you're still conscious. You're different from the others. They're experimenting on me, trying to keep my mind active while they harvest my death patterns. It's torture, Jake. I die over and over again. But they bring me back each time to steal more of my thoughts. Jake felt sick and angry. We're getting you out right now. But before he could act, alarms started ringing throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors, and they could hear Krillian voices shouting in their alien language. They know we're here, Ben said. He pulled out his weapon and checked the corridor. Amy spoke into her communication device. Dr. Murphy, are you reading this? We need extraction now. Dr. Murphy's voice came through with static. Jake, you need to get out of there immediately. I'm detecting massive energy buildups around Earth and all the human colonies. The Krillians are starting something big. Jake looked at Lisa. She was trapped in the tank, and he didn't know how to free her safely. But if they didn't get this information back to Earth, millions of humans would suffer the same fate. Lisa, how do we stop this? How do we save our people? The machines that capture our death patterns, she said quickly. They're connected to everything. If you can overload them, it might free all the captured minds. But Jake, it could kill everyone in the process. Dr. White was studying her scanner. I'm detecting the quantum matrices she's talking about. They're throughout this facility. If we can disrupt them, we might be able to free the trapped consciousness. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. The Krillians were coming. Ben, set charges throughout this level. Amy, get back to the shuttle and prep for emergency takeoff. Helen, download everything you can about their technology. Jake turned back to Lisa. I'm going to try the overload. If it doesn't work, at least you tried. But Jake, you need to know something else. The Krillians aren't just planning to capture more humans. They're planning to harvest everyone. Every man, woman, and child on Earth and the colonies. They call it the final harvest. The door to their room started to open. Jake could see alien soldiers in the hallway. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less. They're already moving their fleets into position. Jake made his decision. He couldn't save Lisa right now, but he could try to save everyone else. Helen, can you create the overload? Dr. White was already working at a control panel. I think so. But everyone in this facility will be affected. The shock could kill them permanently or free them. There's no way to know. Do it. As Dr. White worked, Jake watched the humans in the other tanks. They deserved a chance to really live or really die, not this horrible existence in between. The Krillian soldiers were almost through the door. Now, Jake shouted. Dr. White pressed the final button, and every machine in the facility began to overload at once. The entire facility shook as Dr. White's overload spread through the quantum matrices. Sparks flew from control panels, and the lights flickered on and off. In the tanks, the floating humans began to move for the first time in months or years. Jake watched as Lisa's eyes became brighter and more alive. Her tank cracked and green liquid spilled onto the floor. She gasped for air as the breathing mask fell away from her face. It's working, Dr. White shouted over the noise of failing machines. The consciousness patterns are reconnecting with their bodies, but not all the humans were surviving the process. Some tanks went dark completely, and the people inside stopped, moving forever. Others opened their eyes but screamed in pain as their minds tried to reconnect with bodies that had been changed by alien experiments. The Krillian soldiers finally broke through the door. They were tall, gray creatures with forearms and faces that looked like insects. They carried energy weapons that glowed with purple light. Ben Parker threw himself behind a control panel and started shooting back with his human weapon. "We need to move now," he yelled. Jake helped Lisa out of her broken tank. She was weak and could barely stand, but she was alive and thinking for herself again. Amy Chen ran into the room and grabbed Lisa's other arm. "The shuttle is ready, but we've got company coming from all directions," Amy said. Dr. White was still downloading information from the alien computers. "Almost done. I'm getting their entire database on consciousness extraction." Throughout the facility, freed humans were fighting back against their captors. People who had been dead inside for months were suddenly angry and desperate for revenge. They used alien tools as weapons and turned the Krillians' own technology against them. Jake saw a man who had been working at a computer station grab a Krillian scientist and throw him across the room. A woman with metal implants in her arms punched through a wall to reach more weapons. The humans were still changed by their captivity, but their spirits had returned. "Jake, we have a bigger problem." Dr. Murphy's voice came through their communication devices. "The energy overload you created is spreading to other Krillian facilities. It's like a virus in their network, but it's also triggering their final harvest protocol. They're attacking Earth right now." Jake felt his heart sink. They had saved the people in this facility, but they might have doomed everyone back home. Lisa grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "No, this is good. The overload will spread to every facility where they're holding humans. All across the galaxy, our people are waking up inside Krillian territory. But Earth can fight back. Now, the Krillians built their empire by using other species' abilities, but they're not good at creating new solutions themselves. When their human workers stop obeying and start fighting, their whole system will break down." Dr. White finished her download and packed up her equipment. "I've got everything. Their technology, their weaknesses, and the locations of every facility holding humans." They fought their way through corridors filled with chaos. Freed humans and confused Krillians battled each other while alien machines exploded and caught fire. The facility was tearing itself apart. Ben Parker set off his explosives as they ran toward the shuttle. Behind them, entire sections of the research station collapsed into the dead star. The Krillians had spent decades building this place, and it was being destroyed in minutes. They reached the shuttle just as a group of Krillian soldiers surrounded them. Jake thought they were trapped, but then more freed humans appeared. These were people who had been enhanced with alien technology during their captivity. One woman could move faster than the eye could follow. A man had arms that could stretch, like rubber. They fought the soldiers while Jake's team escaped. As Amy piloted the shuttle away from the dying station, Jake looked back at the humans they were leaving behind. Some climbed into alien ships and flew away to spread the overload to other facilities. Others stayed to fight and make sure no Krillians survived to continue the experiments. "They'll be okay," Lisa said, reading his thoughts. "We're not the same people we were before. The Krillians changed our bodies, but they also made us stronger, and now we're free to use that strength." During the flight back toward human space, Dr. White worked on the downloaded information. What she found made everyone on the shuttle feel both hopeful and worried. "The Krillians have been doing this for thousands of years," she explained. "Not just to humans, but to dozens of species. They can't create or innovate on their own, so they steal the abilities of others. But they made a mistake with humans." "What kind of mistake?" Jake asked. "They thought they could control us the same way they controlled other species. But human consciousness is different. When we die and come back, we don't just remember what happened to us. We get angry about it. And angry humans are very dangerous." Lisa laughed for the first time since her rescue. "They wanted our creativity, but they didn't understand that human creativity includes finding new ways to fight back." Dr. Murphy's voice came through their communication system again. "Jake, you need to hear this. The overload has reached Krillian facilities in 12 different star systems. Everywhere it spreads, humans are breaking free and turning on their captors. But the Empire is fighting back hard. What's the situation on Earth? The attack fleet arrived an hour ago, but something strange is happening. Their ships aren't working properly. The human consciousness they've been using to run their technology is fighting back from the inside. Some Krillian ships have actually turned around and started attacking their own forces." Jake smiled. The Krillians had made their empire dependent on stolen consciousness from conquered species. Now that consciousness was no longer under their control. "There's more," Dr. Murphy continued. "Other alien species are joining the rebellion. The overload didn't just free humans. It disrupted the Krillian control systems for all their captured workers. The whole galaxy is rising up against them." As they approached Earth, Jake could see the battle in space. Krillian ships fought against each other as their human-powered systems rebelled. Earth's defense forces were pushing back the invasion, fleet with help from liberated alien species. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. The Krillian Empire controlled most of the galaxy, and they wouldn't give up easily. However, they had made a critical error. They had tried to use humanity's greatest strength, their ability to adapt and overcome, as a tool for oppression. Now that tool had turned against them, and it was spreading throughout their empire like a fire that couldn't be stopped. Every facility they had built, every ship they had powered with stolen consciousness, was becoming a weapon in the hands of the very people they had tried to enslave. The Empire had wanted humans alive to steal their minds, but they had killed them to make the theft easier. In doing so, they had created something they never expected. An army of the dead who refused to stay dead, powered by a rage that burned brighter than any star. 3 months after the overload began, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Liberation. Through the main screen, he watched as another Krillian fleet surrendered to the growing alliance of freed species. What had started as a rescue mission had become a galaxy-wide revolution. Lisa Rodriguez walked onto the bridge, but she looked different now. The alien experiments had changed her body, giving her enhanced strength and the ability to interface directly with computer systems. Like many of the freed humans, she had decided to keep these changes and use them against their former captors. "The Krillian homeworld just sent another message," Lisa said. "They want to discuss terms for peace." Jake shook his head. "After what they did to millions of people across the galaxy? I don't think so." Admiral Kate Johnson appeared on the communication screen from Earth. She looked tired but satisfied. "Jake, we've received similar messages from Krillian commanders in 15 different systems. Their empire is collapsing faster than we expected." Dr. Helen White, now serving as the Alliance's chief scientist, joined the conversation. "It makes sense. The Krillians built everything around controlling other species' consciousness. When that control broke, they lost the ability to run their own civilization." Over the past months, Jake had learned just how dependent the Krillian Empire had become on stolen abilities. They used captured human creativity to design their ships, They relied on alien workers to build their cities and grow their food. When all these species turned against them at once, the Empire had no way to function. But the rebellion hadn't been easy. Many freed humans and aliens had died in the fighting. Some facilities couldn't be saved before the Krillians destroyed them rather than lose control. Jake thought about all the people they hadn't been able to rescue in time. "Captain, we're getting reports from the Outer Rim," Lieutenant Amy Chen said from her station. "The last major Krillian stronghold has fallen. Captain Ben Parker's strike team freed over 10,000 prisoners from their research facility. Ben Parker had volunteered to lead the most dangerous missions, using his demolitions expertise to destroy Krillian installations across the galaxy. Like many humans who had been changed by alien experiments, he seemed to feel no fear anymore. Jake worried about what the trauma had done to all of them. Dr. Murphy's voice came through the communication system from the science lab. "Jake, you need to see what we've discovered in the Krillian databases. It's about why they targeted humans specifically." Jake made his way to the lab, where Dr. Murphy was working with several freed aliens from different species. The diversity of the rebellion still amazed him. Fish-like creatures worked alongside bird people and beings made of living crystal, all united by their hatred of Krillian oppression. "Look at this," Dr. Murphy said, pointing to a chart on his screen. "The Krillians have been studying hundreds of species for thousands of years, but humans were special." The chart showed brain patterns from different alien races. Most looked similar, with regular patterns and predictable responses. But the human patterns were chaotic and unpredictable. Every other species they encountered could be controlled through their consciousness extraction technology, but human consciousness was too complex and too stubborn. When they tried to steal our creativity, we fought back even after death. Dr. White nodded. "That's why they had to keep killing us and bringing us back. Our minds wouldn't stay captured. We kept finding ways to resist." Jake studied the data. "So they created their own destruction by targeting the one species that couldn't be completely controlled?" "Exactly. And now that resistance has spread to other species, we taught them how to fight back." A message alert sounded throughout the ship. Lisa's voice came over the speakers. "All senior officers to the bridge. We're receiving a transmission from the Krillian Emperor himself." Jake returned to the bridge where his crew was gathered around the communication station. On the screen appeared a Krillian unlike any they had seen before. This one was larger and older, with scars covering his insect-like face. "I am Emperor Zyklon of the Krillian Empire," the alien said in perfect English. "I wish to speak with the leaders of this rebellion." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Morrison. What do you want?" "I want to understand how inferior species defeated us. We had perfect control over millions of worlds for centuries. How did you break our system?" Lisa moved to stand beside Jake. "You made one mistake. You assumed that consciousness could be owned like property, but some things can't be stolen, only shared freely." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. We perfected the technology. We could extract and control any mind." "You could extract human consciousness," Jake said, "but you could never truly control it. Every time you killed us to steal our thoughts, we came back angrier and more determined to be free." Dr. White stepped into view of the camera. "We've analyzed your technology. It was brilliant, but it had a fatal flaw. You designed it to work with species that accept authority. Humans reject authority even when we're dead." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "What do you want from us now? Complete surrender?" Jake looked around at his crew and the freed aliens working alongside them. "We want justice for the billions of people you killed and enslaved. We want your consciousness extraction technology destroyed. And we want you to leave the territories of every species you've conquered. And if we refuse?" Lisa smiled, and there was something dangerous in her expression. "Then we'll show you what angry humans can really do when they work together with friends." The transmission ended and the bridge was quiet for a moment. Jake knew the war wasn't completely over. There would still be Krillian holdouts and resistance groups to deal with, but the Empire as they had known it was finished. Over the following weeks, Krillian commanders across the galaxy began surrendering their forces. Some tried to destroy their facilities rather than let them fall into Alliance hands, but most were captured intact. The consciousness extraction technology was dismantled, and the freed minds of countless species were finally allowed to rest. Jake stood in the observation deck of the Liberation, watching as former Krillian ships were converted to serve the new Galactic Alliance. Humans worked alongside dozens of alien species, all of them free to make their own choices for the first time in generations. Lisa joined him at the window. "Do you think we did the right thing? Some of the freed humans are still changed by what happened to them. Some will never be the same." Jake thought about all the people they had saved and all the ones they had lost. The Krillians wanted to use our consciousness as tools. They wanted us alive so they could steal what made us human. But when they killed us to do it, they forgot something important. "What's that?" "Dead humans don't stay dead when they have something to fight for. We came back because we had people to save and wrongs to make right. That's what makes us human. We don't give up, even when giving up would be easier." As Jake watched the ships outside, he saw the future of the galaxy taking shape. Species that had been enemies were learning to work together. Technology that had been used for oppression was being turned toward exploration and discovery. The Krillian Empire had wanted to harvest humanity's greatest gift, their refusal to accept injustice. Instead, they had given that gift to the entire galaxy.